we welcome in an old friend. Always brings a great smile to my face when I see this guy. So many great memories and such a fan for so many decades of his work, of course, with Judas Priest, and now getting ready to launch his own band called KK's Priest. Joining me is the one and only KK Downing. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Absolutely wonderful, Eddie. It's great to see you again because we're on the Zoom thing as well. So
Yeah.
good to see you looking well, and a big hello to everyone over there. You know, miss America so much, my second home, and but hopefully we'll be back in not too much the distant future and play some shows for you guys.
You know, we were talking a little bit about this during the commercial break before you came on, but obviously you are in, where are you exactly in England, KK? Are you in Birmingham?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm about an hour from Birmingham, so I'm pretty much right in the middle of the country, more or less.
And how are things there as far as the situation with the pandemic? I was saying earlier, here in America, we're kind of opened up. How are things looking?
It's good. Everybody really now just wants to just go back completely to normality and how it was before, because everybody's perception is that we're kind of over it now because we don't have any deaths. We've had the lowest death rate now. April was the lowest on record for many years, actually. People wearing masks, so people don't even get the flu now, you know. So everybody's in a bit of an uproar because everybody just wants to throw the masks away and get out to some concerts and you know, as I get out there rocking again.
It sounds like we're just slightly ahead of you then, because just recently we were able to, if you're vaccinated, get rid of the masks. I was saying to my audience earlier, I got to go to the supermarket for the first time without a mask, or the gym for the first time without a mask. And it was like, I walked in, I felt like I was doing something wrong. They're like, no, it's okay as long as you got the shot. And I'm like, I'm good. So it feels good. It takes a little getting used to at first, but it feels good when you're able to do it. So it should be coming soon for you guys.
Yeah, you must have felt like you've won something, you know, because it's such a thing to wear those blasted masks, you know, but you know, let's say fingers crossed.
Have you gotten to get out and play a little golf?
Weather's beautiful here. I think summer's come at last, and yeah, I think I played the day before yesterday to get out there and get some fresh air. You know, you obviously know I've been locked away for a fair bit, obviously on the project and stuff like that. So it's good with the COVID and the winter. You know, as I say, it feels like you've won something when you can get outdoors and the weather's nice these days.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the project here in a second, but last thing, do you still have the golf course? I know you had your own course. Did you sell it or?
Yeah, I've moved on, and back in the saddle again, as Aerosmith once said.
Yeah. Well, back where we want you, playing guitar and playing that flying V and killing it on that whammy bar. I got to tell you, man, I speaking a smile to my face, when I heard the one song I've heard so far from the record, which came out here in the US a couple weeks ago, Hellfire Thunderbolt, it just brought a huge smile to my face because it was exactly what people love you for and what they love Priest for and what we were hoping to get from you. And it reminded me of maybe even almost something that could have been on Painkiller. It was just so great. Now, before we talk specifically about the record coming out, here's something that I was thinking about. So you've been on with me a couple times as you started to make your way back into metal. And it was very important to you, was it not, to actually lead with new music versus going out and doing nothing but nostalgia and old Priest? I know you did that to kind of get things going for a couple shows, but for you, making a new record and a statement of new music seemed to be very important. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way, really, because it just seemed to be an automatic thing, you know, to make a record. And it was kind of a bit weird, Rick. Everybody probably knows I did a couple of token appearances, you know, that kind of did kind of whet the appetite, you know, but I'd spent so many years hanging around waiting for a call from the other guys, thinking that that would always happen. But, they confirmed that it never was. So I just wanted to kind of move on, and obviously meeting up with Ripper again, the year before last. I'm thinking, this is something that really needs to happen because, I really think that I've got something really good to offer, and obviously to be able to do things in my own kind of way without any other restrictions or anything, that type of freedom. So I just sat down, got the guitar, and it was January, pretty much just after Christmas. And within 4 weeks, I had the material pretty much for the whole album. Within 4 weeks, outlined and roughly demoed. And I'm thinking, yes, there's an album there, And then I was able to go full pelt, and it all came together really, really quite quickly. And so essentially, the record has pretty much been made for quite some time, But when the COVID really dug in deep, Eddie, I kind of took the gas off the pedal just with the final mixing and things. So I thought, well, there's no particular rush, So, and then I made a definite decision. I'm fed up with all of this now. I just want the record to be out. I want people to hear it. So that's the process we're going through right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, KK. I was thinking about this the other day, and I've been a fan pretty much since the beginning. Is this the first thing you've ever done outside of Priest? Because all your decades in Priest, to my knowledge, you didn't really even guest on other people's records. I know Glenn had made some solo records. Is this the first music you've ever made outside of Judas Priest?
It is, absolutely is, because I really didn't want to do anything else, and I was asked, but to me, Priest was the be all and the end all, because I never quite worked it out, Eddie, because, if other guys go and do solo records, then if they create music, write and create music, if it's that good, surely it should be on a Judas Priest record. And if it's not that good, perhaps they shouldn't be doing it. And so this was my kind of mindset. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to concentrate on producing stuff that's really good. If it's not good, it goes in the bin or it gets shelved. And if it is good, I'll present it to the band. So I never really quite worked it out, but there is that big loyalty thing, isn't there, really? To me, to be able to concentrate on the thing that, that you're passionate about. And to me, it was always about Judas Priest, because I was a young kid when I became a priest, can I say, which I did, a priest in Judas Priest, long before I met Rob and Glenn, and I think the reason I'm broaching on this subject, Ed, is I'd like to just touch on the fact that, I still consider that, that I am the same person, and right now I want to be musically in the future, in the present, but also I'm a part of the past as well. I can't shed my skin, like I'm not the cobra, I just can't shed my skin. I can't deny my divinity. I am who I am, and I have my style, the way I play, the way I write, and the way I perform, and so therefore to justify, the name of the band, and I thought hard and long, why should I call myself, Kellogg's Frosties? There's an advert for Kellogg's, when I'm nothing to do with that. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't relate to me, so this is where I'm at right at the moment, and I feel justified, with the concept and everything that surrounds it to move forward. and I feel that I'm justified more than other people are justified, you know, that are calling themselves, priest. If that makes sense, I hope that makes some sense to the fans. I just don't want to throw everything and leave everything behind, because that's me. It's who I am.
Yeah, well, so it sounds like what you're saying is you have an eye towards the future with this, but you're also not going to deny, and it would be ridiculous to deny your place as a co-founding member of Judas Priest and what you. So
Absolutely
you
right.
want to play off the history and also with an eye towards what you're doing new and
Yeah,
remarkably for the first time in your life outside of the banner of Judas Priest.
exactly, because I was the loyal priest. Rob left for 14 years. Glenn left for 6 years doing a couple of solo albums with John Entwistle and Cozy. But I stayed, loyal and true, and I never ventured off. Because I suppose I was there in the very beginning. So the way it's unraveled, and I just want people to have, a little bit of a think about that when they, I get the fact that people don't want two priests, but like you said, Eddie, I can go back and play, the Ripper Years albums, Jugulator and Demolition. We can play some of those songs, but I also want to play some songs, in Priest that I was never really, we never got to play, some of the early stuff and some of the latter stuff. And so I hope people are going to enjoy that. But first and foremost, I'm really, really pleased with the record. One song has been released now. There's lots more to come, even before the album comes out. So I'm really excited about that. We're working hard on, still on a lot of things to come. The Hellfire Thunderbolt was released just because I really couldn't make my mind up which song to release. But I thought maybe the length of the song and the ingredients, maybe it's a good first thing to present. But I'm really excited to release a lot of other stuff, and I think it's a strong record. And even now I've started to write stuff. We've started to put stuff together for the next record, while we're still doing the COVID thing and doing promotion for this record.
The record is out when? When is the actual release date for the full record?
August the 20th, Eddie, is the release date. So we've got a while till then. But like I say, I'm really over the moon with how the first song has been received, and particularly on YouTube, obviously going pretty viral on there. So it's fantastic. We're really pumped up, me, Ripper, and the lads, and we just want to get out there and play to the fans, and some new music, some old music, and some stuff. And we'll be listening to the fans, and what do they want us to play for them, and I think that's a good benchmark. If they want us to play just new music, we'll just play that. But a mixture of anything they would like us to hear and blast out, we're ready to do that.
As good as the new music is, there's nobody on the planet that's not going to want to hear some Priest classics. You know that. So we definitely will. You'll be getting requests from me and everybody else. Trust me. KK's Priest, the debut album, Sermons of the Sinner, is out on August 20th. Already out is the single and video Hellfire Thunderbolt. It is just killer to me, very painkiller feeling, great sounding, classic sounding Judas Priest material with that vibe, that unmistakable KK guitar sound. And of course, our good friend Tim Ripper Owens. How has it been working with Tim again? I think, Tim, when Tim came into Judas Priest, obviously with Jugulator and then Demolition, records that I think now are better received than maybe they were at the time, just because they were such big shoes he was filling. And Tim has gone on to do so many other great things since then. Fantastic voice. I imagine it made all the sense in the world to revisit and go back to work with him for this.
Absolutely, because we obviously had that familiarity, the association, and obviously, first and foremost, obviously, he's got an incredible voice, and he really does. You know, we've got lots of things to draw from. Nothing better than a couple of old buddies getting back together and doing what we did, you know. So, and I've been checking back live in London, the DVDs and stuff like that, and some real magical moments, you know. And we did a lot of shows together around the world. We really, really did. So,
What do you make, KK? What do you make of those two records now, as some time has passed, that you did with Tim, with Demolition and Jugulator? Looking back on them in retrospect, how do you feel about them?
yeah, well, I think they're quite unique and magical, really, because you know, I think you know, we did get into, you know, we had a new entity, obviously, as a front man in Ripper. And as I said before, Ripper was younger, and I think that lots of things were moving on because we had so many. I think it was like 6 years between Painkiller, or it was quite a lengthy amount of time. You know, Glenn was away doing his solo albums, but when we came back together, we've got no idea what would have happened if we'd have stayed together. Rob hadn't have left, Glenn hadn't have done his thing, where we would be at. So I guess we were, I guess, dropped in at the deep end, really, kind of suspended in time, thinking, okay, what are you going to do? But I guess, you know, what was coming out of us naturally as songwriters, myself and Glenn, was Jugulator, which really is like a metal almanac when it comes to like guitar riffage, if you go and play it. And it's pretty brutal. But at the end of the day, they sit there in history now. And I think you're absolutely right. You know, they stood the test of time, and people, I read comments all the time, you know, play Cathedral Spires, play Bullet Train, play, you know, these songs. And because there was a pretty good kind of almost tongue-in-cheek element to some of the stuff. It was fun in a way. It was pretty brutal, but it was kind of it was good music to be enjoyed, you know. So we'll have all of those elements, I'm sure, back with us again. So it's been too long, and hopefully we can get the records circulated, because speaking to the guys in the other camp, they're not available, they're not doing anything with them, and they need to be put out there made available for people to get a hold of. You know, it's very frustrating, really, to have a part of your history locked away, like it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll be fighting the campaign to make that happen, you know, and we hope that it does.
Another former Priest member that I know was initially involved in this was drummer Les Binks. What is his status with this now? Because I don't believe he's on the song or in the video you've released.
No.
Is he still involved?
No. Les suffered, unfortunately, an injury, and wasn't able to kind of get on board with the album. And but I have spoken to him not too long ago, and definitely, you know, he confirmed if we can get some shows, you know, if it's UK, some European stuff, he would like to step up and special guest with us, which will be fantastic, you know, because I want to be able to play the Ripley years stuff, but I also like to play the Les Binks years, which we did at the Steel Mill in Wolverhampton. We were able to play Beyond the Realms, which Les wrote, and Hellbent for Leather, and some cool stuff like that, you know. And, you know, like I say, we're kind of, you know, time is moving on. We're losing a lot of friends along the way, and we need to start to enjoy and to be able to bring a lot of things back as best we can, memories, because we've grown old together. Not you, Eddie. I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is,
Me too.
I'm,
No,
I'm,
we were
I'm
just
just saying,
talking about how long we've known each other. It's been a long time for. I've grown old with
yeah,
you too, man.
but what I'm saying to all the fans out there, I know that, we've got the treasured memories. We take our music with us. It's a part of us. We had our first beer. We had our first fun with a girl in the back of a car, whatever it is. But, let's be happy about who we are, what we've created, without all of this bullshit, basically. Let's get out there and, like the 50th anniversary, I was so disappointed those guys wouldn't let me have anything to do with the book, or I haven't even got a copy. They haven't even sent me one. I don't know what's going on, but it's all a bit ridiculous. We're not going to be on the planet forever, are we? And when we do lose special friends, and you know who they are, Eddie, everybody, like I do as well, lots of friends. It's time to have fun. When we get out of this COVID thing again, we need to get back to more like we remember the golden decades, the 70s, the 80s, and have fun with it all again. And that's why I still want to be who I am, do what I do. I want to bring all of that and have some good years and get back around the world again and meet all of my friends and all of the fans everywhere, just like it was at any point.
So when the album comes out, Sermons of the Sinner, on August 20th, besides yourself and Tim, who else will people hear on the record? And is that going to be the same band you're going to go out and tour with?
Absolutely, yes. It's AJ, who is, he has his own story to tell. Hopefully you can get him on at one point. But he's going to be he's doing some interviews tomorrow and stuff.
And what does he do in the band, KK?
He's a guitar player. Is
the other guitarist?
My fellow Axeman. I grew up with his family. We went to school together with his uncle and his dad. And AJ actually first started. He's got that Hendrix moment that I had when I first saw Hendrix. I was afflicted by that, and it changed my life. He saw me on the Jugulator tour or the Demolition tour with Ripper in Birmingham at a smaller venue, and he had that moment as well. And he kind of wanted to be me, bless him. He never will be, but
but he's playing in a band with you. That's got to be a dream for him.
He's become a great guitar player, so basically he looks good, plays good, and performs good, and and then we've got Tony Newton, who is a bass god for sure, Thunder bass. He does Tony does a lot of stuff, producing it as well, songwriting and playing. He actually formed Voodoo Six with Richie Faulkner, actually, quite a few years ago. Yeah. So he's got a story to tell as well. But Tony does quite a lot of stuff, mixing maiden albums and stuff like that. So I love Tony because he's absolutely perfect for this band, And we've got Sean L from the band Cage, who's played with Ripper quite a lot of time. When Les couldn't do it, we looked on YouTube. Tim says, I know a guy, he's played with me. The guy, we saw him playing Painkiller, some other stuff. I thought, we've got to get this guy over because he's an amazing. On that video we've done, the drums are absolutely killer, and I hope everybody agrees with that, but they really, really are. So the band's great, couldn't do it any better. I'm happy about absolutely every element, and can't wait to release more product to everyone in a short space of time. Can't say when. I want it to be a surprise, but not too long to wait.
When you talk about the lineup and the history of KK's Priest, I was talking about this a little bit before you came on the air. A guy that is a mutual friend of ours that's going through a tough time right now, who was a part of this very early on, is Dave Ellefson. And
Yeah.
I know that he's recently lost his gig in Megadeth. The story's been well documented out there. Do you have any comment, and have you been in touch with Dave? And is there any side of you that now that he's out of a gig, there might be a chance for him to, I know you have a bass player, but maybe he'd be, you'd want him to be a part of this in some way?
No, we're all consolidated now. We've actually been obviously working pretty hard for over a year and a half now together as a unit, and obviously we've got all of these videos we're about to release, so we're totally consolidated. But yes, Dave and I, we're every now and again we're in touch, and obviously I did send David a text saying, obviously, you've got a lot of friends around the world, and he does,
I did as well. I did as well.
He's absolutely, he's not just liked, he's actually loved, and because he's such a gentleman, and he gives time to, I like to say, can I just say this, I always felt that proud of myself in Priest. I really felt I was the one guy that was the very last person to hang out with the fans and just socialize and all of that. But David is exactly that person. He really is. And everybody says that about him. It's just, what happened. And we talk about it. I talk about it with other journalists and things like that. It was just a case, if this had have happened in the 70s or the 80s, it would have just been put down to rock and roll. He's no different to anybody else. We've all got strengths and we've all got weaknesses, especially as men, I'm afraid. And so many have kept the doors closed, where David messed up and left the door ajar, but he's no different to anybody else, and so wish him well and everything, and I know that he will obviously come back and through this, because he's so good, and he is an amazing bass player. There's no two ways about it. Because when we did the gig at Steel Mill, he flew in. We had one rehearsal in a freezing cold rehearsal room. He just got off the plane, and Ripper as well. We all did, and run through the set once, and we went out and did the show. For better or for worse, for love.
I don't want to keep you too much longer, and I don't have too much time left in my show, but I do have to ask you, you wrote your book, which I thought was fantastic, a great read. And you referenced a little earlier in this interview that you left a lot of stuff out of that book. Would you like to write a second book at some point?
Yeah, I might have to, really, because, people don't know, everything. I'm so sick of people saying, oh, KK, he left to look after his golf course, he retired. None of that's true. It's true, I sent in a retirement letter when I was trying to keep everything amicable, and those guys had the purse strings as well. So I was trying to bow out gracefully. But then I tried to, then I was looking to to do the tour and finish the end of the band, which was planned, and then I was denied that opportunity as well, and that's when the second letter went in, giving the real reasons and the explicit restriction for them to ignore everything in my first letter, and that means everything, as though it didn't exist, because it didn't. But what was in the second letter, it was a lot easier for the other side to just to go with the contents from my first letter, and that was unfair to me, because they told the world things that were not, intended. So, but it is what it is. So maybe a second book, could be in line. But first and foremost, I'm so looking forward to kind of leaving as much of that behind as I possibly can, and just move forward with enjoying music and meeting everyone and traveling the world, and keep pumping out some killer metal.
You were the first to write a book in Priest. Since you wrote your first book, Rob released a book. Did you read it?
No, no, I didn't read Rob's book. No, no.
No interest.
No, I was doing other things, you know. No, I didn't really have an interest to do that because, you know, because like I say, it was fine. It was going okay because, but there's lots of things that those guys need to tell the world. It's very frustrating because it's very frustrating, you know, because they appointed lawyers. I was just sitting there doing my own thing, letting them get on with everything. But then they wanted to kind of oust me from my inheritance, really, from Judas Priest product, and that's going on now. So I'm sure it will end up, you know, in a court because it's not fair because I was a part of, and I paid for all of that imagery, you know, t-shirts, album covers, all of that thing, and I'm being denied to be a part of that, and it's not fair, it's not right. But people don't know that, Eddie. But like I say, you know, it's hard for me at the moment because I'm so excited about moving on with all the music, but I guess it will always be there for, you know, but like I say, I wish people knew everything, and they would perceive me differently, and lots of people, you know. But I think lots of people do see it and understand it, hopefully, and understand the main thing is it's all about music and the sound, and the guitar solos and the vocals. It's all about everything, and like I say, hopefully, and well, definitely, you will be having some new exciting songs coming your way really soon.
Yeah, I heard during a commercial break, a voice somewhere came out of nowhere and said, "You're going to get the record soon." So I'm greatly looking forward to that. Just a couple quick things, and I'll let you go, KK. You mentioned earlier, as you know, Priest are celebrating 50 years, a bit early, maybe 50 years since you guys first all met in school. But I always mark anniversaries from the year of a first record. But they're doing it a bit early, and they're going to go and do a run of these dates. Is there any side, like you just said it yourself, none of us are getting younger. We're all fans. You've made it clear, and you said that the door was closed to you to go back. But before this whole thing, a button is put on the history of Judas Priest, which again, you're a founder of. Do you hold out any hope or any optimism, or for us as fans, any optimism that we could see you walk out on that stage and play Sinner one more time?
It's definitely gonna happen with KK's Priest.
For people that don't have the visual, KK was shaking his head no during the whole question, by the way.
Those guys have a complete another agenda, and they have been saying they're happy with the way that they are, and that's it. It's done and dusted. There is no more. But and so I've kind of I couldn't do any more than I did. You know, I couldn't really, but it's just unfair. Nobody ever asks them really, you know, the real deal. They just continue to, and they will forever and a day. You won't get, you know, the story, you know, what the deal really is. It's as simple as that, really. They're very happy telling everybody, okay, oh, you know, it just makes me look bad in front of them. He left to look after his golf course. I had an international management company looking after that. Troon Management, a big American company, you know, Troon.
That was dealing with your golf course.
They look after 200 courses in the States. They were managing that course for me, and that had been up and running and open for at least 6 years prior to me quitting, you know. So that was just a nonsense, really, you know. And
have you heard how Glenn is doing?
I haven't. I wish somebody would say, really, because obviously, you know, as much as we have, you know, had issues, you know, that came to a boil, we had a very good relationship. I mean, for a long time, Eddie, you know, and I respect Glenn amongst anybody. I really respect Glenn, because he was the one person that put a lot of time in and a lot of work and a lot of effort, just like me. Rob and Ian would be on holiday somewhere doing other things, but we were the guys that sat there writing the songs, recording, producing, and I'll never take that away from Glenn. His work ethic was, it just came to a point where I'm saying, Glenn, can you just like not have as many beers when we're playing performances, because I feel unstable, I feel insecure, but other than that, like I say, I revere and treasure, everything that we created together, myself and Glenn. I really do, and I wish him all the best. And I would welcome any update as I can to Glenn's, health and his well-being.
If there's somebody listening to this interview right now that never heard Judas Priest, a young guy, young woman, a young fan, of all the records, what's the first one you tell them to get?
Well, I think probably I'd probably say British Steel, because I think that was the turning point, not just for Judas Priest, but for the metal, the genre of metal anyway, because we had just consolidated ourselves for the first time on that album, because we had, the Razor Blade, British Steel, we had the songs. For the first time, we were all clad in leather, not just me and Rob or just me, and I think that was kind of, for me, the first time that I felt really, really happy, because I liked how the band sounded, I liked how it looked, I was happy with all of the songs, I was happy with the album cover, and we just went out and we went out in the UK with Iron Maiden supporting. It just seemed like the world just became a metal world from that point. So I would say British Steel, please.
Yeah, and I got to tell you this last thing, and I don't know where you land on it, but as fans and as a voter, it makes me nuts. But Judas Priest was on a ballot for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, didn't get in. We know you belong there. You certainly don't need it to validate your career, but obviously as fans of the band and as metal fans, we are we're outraged that it still hasn't happened. It didn't happen for Iron Maiden this year, so you're in good company. Do you think about that kind of stuff at all, or is it just something like here in America, we obsess over it and it is what it is? Because by the way, that's where you could end up on stage with them again. You know that, right?
I don't know what it is. Do you have to be dead or very close to it before they give you the thumbs up?
Well, that's what I yell about all the time. They wait so long that, they made Deep Purple wait so long. John Lord, rest his soul, wasn't alive. It's insane.
I know there's no such thing as a young legend, but I mean, come on, they have to draw the line somewhere. Like you said, if they wait too long, anything could happen. And it seems so unfair. I mean, for example, take myself now, I'm 70 years old in October. If they want to induct us next year or the year after and I'm not there, well, thanks a lot.
God forbid, KK. Hey, today is Charlie Watts' 80th birthday. You got at least 10 more good years ahead of you, my friend.
Well, happy birthday, Charlie. Send me whatever it is that they give you. I need some of it.
Listen, it's so wonderful to see you smiling and happy and excited. I'm smiling as well. The fans who have heard your music are. It's wonderful to have you back doing this. You were very much missed. I've always been a fan, and we want to remind everybody that the album Sermons for the Sinner is out everywhere on August 20th. I'm sure you could pre-order it now. The single and video is out now for Hellfire Thunderbolt. Again, the album's still a few months down the line, so we'll do another round when the record is actually out and everybody has heard it. And then maybe by then you'll have some tour dates to talk about too.
Yeah, sure. If I could just say kkspriest.com, if everybody heads over there, then they can keep updated with everything that's happening, because everything is pretty new, So I invite everybody to check that out.
And you're on social media now. I saw you're on Twitter as well, the KK's Priest and you yourself. So now people can follow you there also.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And like I say, I couldn't be happier. And thank you all the fans who have clicked onto YouTube and checked out the video. And thank you for all of your fabulous comments. And I knew that the loyalty of the fans of the music and my head's in a fantastic space, and I can speak for the rest of the guys as well. So you know, please, we're looking forward to, as I say, getting the new songs over to you, and they will be coming very, very quickly, thick and fast.
Well, we will keep the fans up to date on everything happening, and hope to see you here in the States soon. And it's always great to visit with you, KK. Anything you need, you know where to reach me, and all the best to you. Stay safe, okay?
And thanks very much, Eddie, and you're a star, and for everything you do, keep on doing it. Don't change, because we need you.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Take care. All the best to you and the family. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everybody.
कैसे भूल पैबू जान बच